You call basically our economy now, though, you say what America has is not capitalism, it's creditism. What does that mean?
Right. Well, I think the biggest impediment to resolving this global economic crisis is the broadly held misconception that the U.S. has a capitalist economy. Well, it doesn't. Under capitalism in the 19th century, the government played almost no role in the economy, but now the U.S. government spends 24% of GDP. Under capitalism, gold was money, and the government had nothing to do with it. Now the Fed prints the money and manipulates its value. But more to my point, under capitalism, the growth dynamic was driven by businessmen who would invest and save. Some of them they would invest, some of them would make a profit. They would save that profit, or in other words, accumulate the capital, hence capitalism, and repeat, invest, save, invest, save. That was slow and difficult, but that's how capitalism created growth. Under our system, creditism, the growth dynamic is completely different. The growth dynamic is driven by credit creation and consumption, and credit creation and consumption. And it created very rapid economic growth. Miracles. It's transformed the world. We've all been much richer as a result. Globalization has been possible because of that. But now it looks like creditism is incapable of creating any more growth because the private sector can't bear any more debt. And if credit now begins to contract, we will collapse into a new depression.
So it's not sustainable. So that's the question, though. Is it possible to maintain that level? Is it possible to dip back just a little bit? Or is that a big swing back you're looking at?
Well, I think the Austrian economists like Ludwig von Mises were very good in understanding the role that credit plays in creating the boom and bust cycles of the economy. They argued that credit creates an artificial growth, artificial economic boom. As long as credit expands, the economy spirals upward. But the day always comes when the credit can't be repaid, and at that point, everything that was good in the upward spiral reverses into a downward spiral. The depression occurs, and the depression is more or less, in their view, the healing process through which the economy returns to some sort of pre-credit equilibrium.
How long does this credit contraction last for?
Well, it's a function of the boom. Back in the 19th century, these boom and bust cycles were relatively short because there was only so much money, and you could only expand it for a little while before you ran out of money and the boom would bust. But in our case, we've had a 4.5-decade-long, $50 trillion nonstop expansion of credit, resulting in the greatest economic boom in history. Therefore, my concern is now, if we allow the credit to contract, we are in for a multi-decade depression that will be at least as bad as the 1930s and 40s.